In part 3 of the reading test, you'll be provided with a long, complex text which is multi-paragraph, like this one. This is what the summary completion task will be based on. So, you'll have to skim and scan the entire text to find the correct section that the summary refers to. The summary could be based on one particular paragraph or a couple of paragraphs in the long text. You'll see a set of instructions like this. The instructions tell you a few things. The first thing to pay attention to is how many words you can use to fill each blank. And this can vary from test to test. You may get instructions that say that you can write up to 2 words or perhaps a word and/or a number. The summary looks like. Now in the summary, you're going to notice these numbered blanks. That's where your answers go. You have to figure out the correct word or phrase that correctly fits into each numbered blank. And most importantly, you cannot change the word or phrase. It must be how it was originally written in the text or list. For example, if the word from the text says valued, you cannot change it to valuable to fit what goes into the gap. It's also important to note that the answers in the summary might not always come in the same sequence as the original text, so they may not match exactly with the text order. You might have to read on to find the answer to a gap, and then go back to an earlier part of the text to find the answer to the following gap. 1 is check the instructions. Step 2 is to read the summary and highlight keywords. Step 3 is to scan the text for the relevant section. Step 4 is to read carefully. And finally, step 5 is to choose an answer. Step 1, we need to check the instructions. Remember to take note of how many words you can write, where the words should come from, and where we need to put our answers. The second step is that we're going to read the whole summary and highlight keywords as we go, like this. In step 3 of our method, we're going to scan the long text to find the relevant section. In order to do this, we need to use the keywords to help us find which part of the text to focus on. Then in step 4, we need to slow down and read carefully. In this fourth step, we'll use the keywords but also the clues and context around the keywords to look for our answer. In this step, we'll also have to rely on our knowledge of synonyms and alternative phrases. The fifth and final step, you choose your answer. But it's not as simple as it sounds. Once you've found your answer, it's really important to check that it makes sense grammatically. And of course, you can't change the form of the word or phrase, otherwise you'll lose a point. Back to class, and here is our sample task. This particular question is going to focus on choosing words from a text. Let's look at the instructions first. The instructions say, complete the summary below. Write 1 word only from the text in each gap. That means we can only write 1 word. The word must come from the text, and it must be written in the gap. Now it's time to read the whole summary and highlight the keywords. Pause the video now, read the summary, and identify keywords. You can just jot them down on a note sheet. Here are the keywords that I came up with. First, I highlighted the heading, How Papyrus Documents Have Survived, because it's going to help us find the relevant section in the long text. Papyrus, cellulose, fungal growths. Fungal growths is a technical term, so I think it might be important. Consumed by is a verb, and it comes right before the gap, so I think that might be helpful. I highlighted the word found as it might be an important verb. Here's our first key number, 5,000-year-old, which refers to the age of whatever goes in the gap. And here are 2 locations highlighted, Egypt and Herculaneum. Preserved is another verb. And finally, 79 CE is a key date that may be useful to us. As you can see, this text is multi-paragraph. Let's focus on the first 4 paragraphs. Pause the video now and scan the paragraphs to find the relevant section. You can see that some of the key words appear in paragraph C. For example, cellulose, 79 CE, and Egypt are just a few. Now, it's time to slow down and read carefully. We're going to do that by going sentence by sentence to find the answers. Here's the first sentence from the text. In moist climates, the cellulose-rich sheets of papyrus would readily decay, becoming covered by mold or full of holes from attacks by insects. Does this sentence contain similar keywords from the summary sentence? Yes. Which word from the text fits in the gap? Use the keywords to guide you now. If you need more time, pause the video. Here's the answer to the first gap. Insects. Papyrus is rich in cellulose and in some conditions will be destroyed by fungal growths or be consumed by insects. We can see that the keywords papyrus and cellulose were repeated. Another way of saying fungal growth is mold, and attacks is another way that they phrased consumed by. Let's try the next gap. It has been found in a 5,000-year-old blank in Egypt. Does this sentence on the left, the next sentence from the text, correspond with the summary sentence? No, it's not the correct sentence. Here's another sentence. Does this include similar keywords? Yes. Use the keywords to help you find the answer to the gap now. Pause the video if you need to. The answer to the second gap is tomb. It has been found in a 5,000-year-old tomb in Egypt. We can see that the verb found was repeated in both the summary and text. The number 5,000-year-old appears, but instead of numerical form, it's written in words in the text. And finally, the location Egypt is repeated in both. Here's the final question. And in Herculaneum, many papyrus documents were preserved following a huge blank in 79 CE. Does it include similar keywords from the text? Yes. Which word from the text fits in the gap? If you need more time, pause the video. The answer to the final gap is eruption. Let's have a look at why. The date 79 CE is repeated even though it's in a different order, as well as the location Herculaneum, which appears in both the summary and the text. The word preserved in the summary sentence is a synonym for the word protected in the longer text. The adjective huge before the blank is a paraphrased version of the word catastrophic, which leads us to the answer of eruption. In Herculaneum, many papyrus documents were preserved following a huge eruption in 79 CE. Instructions also tell you where the words come from. In this example, they come from the text. The instructions also tell you where your answers go. In this case, they go in the gaps. It's important to note that there are two types of summary completion questions. One is where you need to complete the summary with words from the text, like this one. The other is where you need to complete the summary with words from a list,